When we hear of somebody who's leaving the struggle with insomnia and is the most clear-minded in 20 years, we naturally wonder, how did they arrive there? Well, if you wonder that, well, this is perfect because we are going to do a little case study here. We have an amazing graduation speech from Carol, who recently graduated our Insomnia Immunity program, and we're going to go over it paragraph by paragraph and look at what she says, and I'm going to insert some commentary that I hope will be really helpful for you so you can also be clear-minded and leave the struggle. And as I mentioned yesterday, this replaces the Talking Insomnia episode, which hopefully will be rescheduled to soon, because that was another graduate that I really wanted to to talk to and share their story with you as well. But anyways, let's look at Carol's farewell here and see what we can learn. So Carol says, I'm writing fond farewell to this community and the coaches. While I suspect a little fear of wakefulness will always linger in my brain, and you see I highlighted that because I want to comment on that, I am ready to move forward in seeing if I can manage insomnia by not managing it on my own. I'm comforted knowing this community exists and that I can return for refreshers of wisdom. Now, I highlighted, while I suspect a little fear of wakefulness will always linger in my brain. And by the way, if this looks familiar to you, this is actually my newsletter, which I sent out yesterday, that we kind of repurposing here and adding commentary to. So anyways, yes, I thought this I wanted to really highlight this because so often we have clients, followers, students who are doing well, but then are bothered by the fact that they're still thinking about sleep. They're still like, I'm sleeping fine, but like those thoughts are still there. Like I still feel some anxiety here and there. I still have a speed bump here and there. And what Carol shares here is that she actually expects to have some residual fear there for a while. And now imagine, this took me to a place of like imagining like things from my own childhood, kind of looking back and like way back in time. And I can remember things when somebody said something at like recess in like middle school that was like not so nice, and it still hurts a little bit. It's still like a little bit upsetting. And I just share that to illustrate how we can go through things and years down the line, it doesn't really bother us on a day-to-day basis, but the fear, the upsetness, the sadness, whatever emotion we had years ago, a little fragment of it is still there. And the reason I think it's helpful to see this is that if we expect that, okay, now I'm past insomnia and I will never ever worry about it, I will never have a worry thought about it, I will never have any like kind of residual fear, then our expectation sets us up for struggle, because when that thought pops up again, like we go, oh no, why am I thinking about sleep? Something is wrong. I'm doing something wrong. Then we're in some struggle. But when we, like Carol, see that, there'll probably be a little bit of fear there for a while, then when those kind of weird thoughts pop up, we go, this is what I expected, nothing strange or unusual, and they become fleeting. There's no struggle there. So first thing I wanted to highlight was that little sentence there. Now let's keep reading. I don't know how Daniel and his team came to the realization that insomnia is a phobia, a fear of wakefulness, but it's brilliant. It's tremendously observant. This program is crafting and evolving techniques for insomnia treatment through teaching self-coaching, which I have found to be extremely effective, realistic, achievable, and I hope sustainable. And I really want to highlight the self-coaching aspect, but commenting on the kind words here as well. Really, this insight about the nature of insomnia really comes from you and everybody else who's part of this community, who comments, shares questions, and all our teaching have really, it's been a collective effort here. But self-coaching, I think this is really so it's really the key thing, is what I want to say, because many relationships in life, we never want to see them end because we like them, and it's nice to have a client, have a client, be coached to a client. But as opposed to many relationships in life, when the time is right, we want this relationship to end, because what the goal is of coaching is actually for the client to become their own coach, to be like self-coaching, because that's when that's when you never really struggle again, because you have the answers yourself. You can be your own coach. And just, as a kind of a practical insight here, a practical tip, like as you're tuning into this channel, maybe you're reading my books, if you can start like trying to like kind of answer your own questions and see where that leads you, that's really helpful, because ultimately what you want to become is really your own coach. And so reading this from Carol, she saw the value of like, being your own coach. I think that was incredibly insightful. So I wanted to highlight that as well. And now let's keep reading. Carol says, in 20 years of insomnia, I have done all right. My life has been good, despite regular sleep deprivation, but it's had a backdrop of difficulty, fear, clouded mind, poor memory, anxiety, resentment, skipping activities, feeling incapable, debilitating anxiety at night, obsession with my problem of insomnia, internally, externally, documenting, tracking. Massive energy spent trying to fix it by every path possible, and the resulting frustration when it fails. I thought this was really, really helpful to bring up as well. Like Carol points out that she spent massive amounts of energy trying to fix it, and then been really hard on herself when that didn't work, when she quote unquote failed. And it can be really, really helpful to see that trying to control sleep, try to make ourselves sleep, is really just as realistic and possible for any human being out there as saying, oh, I'm going to turn my hair green by just willpower, or I'm going to grow an inch by just, wanting to, trying like internally, like just trying to make myself grow, right? It's not possible. It's not possible for me, for you, for anyone else to have that sort of control. But when our brain has gotten confused and it thinks that it has lost control and it has to be regained, and we try all these things like Carol did, not only is that in itself frustrating. By definition, frustration, occurs when we're trying to do something and it doesn't work, then we become frustrated. That in itself is not helpful. But then it leads to this other component, which is self-criticism. Like, this didn't work, something is wrong, I'm doing something wrong, like why can't I get this? And this clarity that what we're, this internal struggle we're in, it's like we're trying to achieve something impossible. When we see that, then automatically the trying, the problem solving, the fixing, the monitoring fades, and so does the self-criticism. So that is really, really, I was so glad reading this from Karen, from Carol. I'm mixing up names here. Carol, of course. All right. And then finally, I think this is maybe the last paragraph. She said, but with this program, every day I feel more aware of my fears, my anxieties. I feel I'm becoming more intentional, more accepting, more allowing emotions to flow through me than resist them. And in doing so, letting them pass quicker. I did not think of myself as a negative person, quite the opposite, but I'm now aware of the subtle negative thoughts that cloud my mind and the consequences of their effect on my emotions, and then my ensuing actions. In releasing control, I'm finding better balance. This, amongst other hard work, is helping me become more assertive, courageous, hopefully more empathetic in a realistic way. Life is certainly no less complicated, but I'm increasingly better at recognizing games and intentionally choosing to play or not play them. When I saw this, like, this took me to this saying that awareness is change. Awareness truly is change. And that's why I'm always so happy when we see comments, or a client tells me, or a student tells me that they're starting to see, kind of like, take note of what's happening, on the inside. And when we start seeing, for example, that aha, I've been starting to use yoga and meditation as an attempt to try to control my sleep, or aha, I've been avoiding going out with the people I know because I've been trying to protect my sleep. When we just see these games we're playing, as Carol says, when we see these games, then automatically change has happened. It's like a secret. These things we do often are tricky when they're done sort of in secret. We don't realize what we're doing, that we don't see that we're actually trying to have control over something that can't be controlled. And then it just keeps going. Like we sort of mindlessly reproducing these efforts, but just seeing them, just seeing that this game is being played automatically leads to us stepping out of the game. You know, we're automatically outside of the game when we're aware of it like this, when we look at it from the outside. And from that awareness comes this change that Carol describes as, you know, deciding not to play the game. I think sometimes it's not even a decision; it just happens automatically. We're automatically leaving the game once we have this awareness that Carol talks about. So super, super nice to read this as well. And then finally, I am peeling off layers to a better self. I am the most clear-minded I have been in 20 years, and that's amazing because, you know, we've had many guests on the channel, many client students who've had struggles with sleep for decades, and that has, you know, that has not kept them from arriving where Carol's arriving, a place of no struggle. But of course, when it has, you know, when we've had a struggle for quite a long time, you know, these thought patterns, they can be quite embedded. So it is, you know, it's maybe extra remarkable when we hear it from Carol here, that this hard work, the willingness to see things differently, the education, it's yeah, just a wonderful thing to hear. But the way Insomnia ends, I think, is real truly, it's the same for everyone. It's the same hard work that leads there. But if it's been a long journey like for Carol, you know, it's a little bit extra remarkable to see this happen. So I was super happy for Carol, and I hope this really, really resonates with you as well, and that you can learn from Carol and arrive where you have clarity and peace of mind, and life is becoming more and more peaceful. So if that's where you feel things are going, that is wonderful, and please let us know, because hope and inspiration are these commodities that we cannot have enough of. If, on the other hand, things are tricky, you're not really seeing where the pieces to the puzzle fit in, then please head over to our website and check out our coaching options. We have the Insomnia Immunity program that Carol was part of, BedTyme as well, or you can talk to Michelle or myself. And if you decide to join, then we look forward very much to seeing you on the other side. With that said, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend, and look forward to having you back next week. Until then, take it easy.